basically gonna be just discussion.
Okay, you start voting on the last two.
Okay, at this time, I would like to call the March 7th, 2003 meeting of Ben Harbor's Planning Commission to order. Right. Yeah.
I made the call.
Hello.
Yeah. I made the call.
Come on back here, Marshall.
That door's locked.
Oh.
Can't get out. Good thinking, Lee.
Well, you better be glad you locked the door, Mr. Reed. Hey,
Let the door lock.
yeah, I couldn't get out. I was like, Lee,
Attention.
Good to see you, Marshall.
how you doing?
Okay, Clerk Moore, would you call the roll?
Commissioner Ferguson, Commissioner Henry,
Present.
Commissioner Hensel,
Present?
Commissioner Marshall,
Here.
Commissioner McGee, City Manager Mitchell,
Here.
Mayor Mohammed, Commissioner Yarborough, Chairman Reed.
Present.
You have a quorum.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the minutes. Are there any changes?
Agenda?
I move we approve the agenda.
Oh, sorry. Boy, I'm so happy we got a form that I kind of got me right a little bit. Are there any changes to the agenda as presented? Hearing none, would you call the roll?
Commissioner Hensel,
Yes?
Commissioner Henry,
Yes.
Commissioner Marshall,
Yes.
Manager Mitchell,
Yes.
Chairman Reed.
Yes.
Motion carried.
The meeting minutes from our February the 7th meeting, are there any changes or updates? Hearing none, would you call the roll, please?
Manager Mitchell,
Yes.
Commissioner Hensel,
Yes?
Commissioner Marshall,
Yes.
Commissioner Henry,
Yes.
Chairman Reed.
Yes.
Motion carried.
At this time, I'd like to open the meeting up for public comment. Anyone in the public that wishes to speak at this time? Hearing none, I'll close the public comment portion. We'll move on to new business. Is there any new business that's not on the agenda? Then we'll move on to old business. The monthly absence report. I'd like to report that Commissioner Ferguson has submitted a letter of resignation. We need a motion that we accept his letter. So grant his request. Motion is made by Lee Reed and supported by City Manager.
Oh, well, whoever.
Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Hensel,
Yes?
Commissioner Henry,
Yes.
Commissioner Marshall,
Yes.
Manager Mitchell,
Yes.
Chairman Reed.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Commissioner McGee sent a letter requesting a leave of absence till the May meeting. I move that his request for a leave of absence be accepted.
So moved.
Support.
Support is made by Commissioner Henry. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Henry,
Yes.
Commissioner Hensel,
Yes?
Manager Mitchell,
Yes.
Commissioner Marshall,
Yes.
Chairman Reed.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, at this time, I personally went by the home of Commissioner Glenn Yarborough, I did not receive an answer. I called him 5 times in the last 3 days. He has not responded to any of the phone calls. Therefore, he has, today's meeting will be reported as an unexcused absence. Okay, at this time, we'd move on to agenda item 7B. Yes, ma'am.
Did we, our last official meeting, did we move on city submitting a letter? I'm just having a problem with us not being able to take care of business because we don't have enough of our members here. And I do know we had a deep discussion about what we do about members that don't show up. And that's why you have that time frame where you can check and they're supposed to call in. So I'm just having a problem with them not showing up. And I think we should just set out and ask for a replacement. I know he said that he was available, but he's not. That's the bottom line.
Any other thoughts from any of the other commissioners?
Mr. Chairman, I don't think Glenn is physically able to attend these meetings. And I agree with Commissioner Henry that we should move on to get somebody else, because if I was sick or something came up, we would have no meeting today. You know, and we shouldn't be in a position where if one member missed, we can't hold a meeting. And so I'm in total agreement with Commissioner Henry that we should just cancel him out and move on. I do think that he has a desire to be here, but he's not physically able to be here.
Do we have a motion that we should go ahead with the proceedings to have Commissioner Yarborough removed?
I make a motion that due to medical circumstances, that we remove Commissioner Yarborough from this committee and replace him with somebody else.
The recommendation will be made to the full city commission that the planning commission has found Commissioner Yarborough nonfeasant due to his extended absence.
I think it's more so medical issues that won't allow him to participate. You know, he made a commitment to you that he would come, and today that he said he would come, could be here. So I don't think it's that he doesn't want to be here. I don't think he's able to be here.
Support.
The motion is made that we forward the recommendation to the full city commission that Commissioner Yarborough be removed due to failure to meet the attendance requirements. Call the roll, please.
Manager Mitchell,
Yes.
Commissioner Henry,
Yes.
Commissioner Marshall,
Yes.
Commissioner Hensel,
Yes.
Chairman Reed.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, at this time, we would like to have an update by Kushaba Craft.
Good evening, Commissioners. Thank you for having me. Jeff Kashaba, the CEO of Kashaba Craft. I wish I had more progress to report again this time. We're still waiting on electricity, and we had AEP down there last week because we're going to draw so much power, and it leaves these other units in the building, and so they're looking at the best way to split that and make sure it's supported by the power constraints coming in. So we met them this week. Hopefully we'll know something soon on that.
I saw about 5, 6, 7 semi-trailer trucks out there. Were any of these related?
That was not related to my project. I'm not sure
Oh,
what's going on with that.
do y'all have any questions concerning Okay, then. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you.
Appreciate you coming in. At this time, we have Mr. Paul Lippens here to give us an update on the master plan.
All right. Good afternoon. I'm going to focus just on the schedule memo. Does anyone not have the schedule memo? Because I have extra copies. So my colleague Jeff was here in February, and I think he shared with everyone that we were working on a memorandum that includes the preliminary recommendations and substantive analysis that will be turned into the 70% draft master plan memorandum, and met twice with the Planning Commission's Executive Committee and the City Manager and Mr. Little, the Community and Economic Development Director, to review that preliminary draft, which was dated January 31st. We took comments on that draft that were not substantive in nature. There were comments on some spelling mistakes. There was a request for some additional demographic information to be developed based around the economic conditions. Some comments on restructuring the document. And, you know, in a long document like this, there's always a few typos. So we fixed a few typos and grammatical things. But we issued today a revised draft dated March 7th. So that draft is on the website, that's benharbor.com. And it's free for anyone in the city to download to start reviewing those preliminary recommendations. I would describe that document as containing really, 3 or 4 sections. I'll walk you through them. So the first thing that's contained in that document is a preliminary strategic action plan. And that action plan is organized around the goals, objectives, and strategies that were really defined by members of Ben Harbor Public throughout the past year of public engagement. So we listened to people, we wrote down, and actually people wrote down what they wanted to see. And we've helped the process by kind of sorting and collecting those ideas into a strategic action plan. And the first version of that is in this memorandum. And I'm really excited about that action plan. I think that as a framework, there's room to add more things into it. I hope that we get additional ideas as we work through the 70% draft and then 100% draft. But I'm really happy with that part of the project. I think that throughout the many public meetings we did, we got a lot of really good feedback, and we were able to capture what people really wanted to see in this first version, and we hope to keep working on it. There's another section in the plan which really describes 4 key, in the 50% memorandum, which describes 4 key subject matter areas, which we'll also continue to explore as we create a draft. One of them is the future land use map. One of them is a parks and boulevard system. One of them is a series of equity policy areas. And then the last one is about housing and building city capacity. And those 4 subject areas, I think, are going to be the bulk of recommendations. And they were broadly supported through public meetings that we work on these ideas. And these ideas become really the core of the plan. So the first draft of those maps are also included in this document. Following that, you have a summary of public engagement. So we went through all of the public engagement that we've conducted, and we put together essentially a summary report that outlines the feedback that we received from members of the public that participated in the variety of meetings that we conducted. And then you have, following the public engagement summary, a series of exhibits. There's an atlas or a map book, which will be a part of the final plan too, but we've essentially provided all the analysis maps that we made throughout the process, as well as a summary of the online engagement feedback. And that's followed by the draft market analysis, which also has been presented. So it's a lot of information. We call it a 50% draft because it still needs to be formatted into a formal deliverable process. But the purpose of doing it is to add transparency to the process and share all of these findings prior to them being turned into a draft. So in terms of the schedule, the plan is to take this 50% draft, which is now available on the website for anyone who wants to read it. It's on the homepage, bestbendharbor.com. And we will schedule an advisory committee with our project advisory committee, and we'll talk about the draft. We'll talk through any comments that the advisory committee notices. We've, certainly we're taking comments from planning commissioners, city commissioners. Everyone can certainly send me an email and we can talk about the preferred way for taking feedback. But the idea is that we will get a lot of feedback on this draft memorandum, and we'll utilize that feedback to write a draft plan. And that plan will be the 70% draft. What we'll do with the 70% draft is we'll come and make a presentation to City Commission, make a presentation to Planning Commission, get initial feedback on that draft document. And then what happens is the City Commission authorizes that draft to be released for public feedback. And we enter into a 63-day public review period where we'll also distribute the plan to surrounding communities and everyone in the city to give feedback on that draft. And then we'll take all the feedback that we get through that 63-day review period and we'll incorporate it into the plan and issue a final draft. So that is the arc of where we're at. I definitely feel very confident with the information we've collected, with the analysis that's been done, that we have really a wealth of information that can be turned into, I think, a meaningful plan that not only can provide direction to the city for making policy decisions and planning decisions, but also that we've met and networked with a lot of people in the city that want to be involved in implementing the plan. So I think it's an exciting place to be in the process where we can start to create this tool, but also work with people who are interested in that kind of near-term 1 to 5 year implementation process, just to start working on many of the good ideas that were raised throughout the process. So I will note that additionally, as was covered, I think my colleague Jeff mentioned this, I was reading the minutes, but we also, based on the last meeting we had here on November 11th, if you recall, we had a discussion on the zoning ordinance, and we went through the zoning ordinance and some of the issues that Planning Commission wanted to see addressed. So we also took that, we did an analysis on the zoning ordinance, and we issued a memorandum, which we call a zoning diagnostic memorandum. And that basically is a list of things that the commission would like to see addressed in the zoning ordinance. So, and it will also, as we kind of track the master plan process, there might be additional ideas that come up that we'll want to include in the zoning ordinance rewrite. But that zoning diagnostic memorandum is intended to kind of capture where we're at on the zoning ordinance right now for issuing that update as well. And that draft is also on the website for everyone to review, as well as this schedule memorandum is up there too. And we did issue an updated schedule with this package on February 10th. And we're moving right along. My next step after this meeting will be to schedule a project advisory committee meeting, and I'll get that going as soon as possible.
Any of the commissioners have questions of Mr. Lucas?
I was thinking about our process and I wondered, because even today we don't have the printed versions of the plan memo, if we could schedule a planning commission working meeting where planning commissioners can first have an opportunity to kind of digest what we've just received and what is now on the website, and then make comments before we go to the advisory committee. That way, the people who do come to the advisory committee will be prepared enough to be able to speak to questions or understand what people are asking questions about, if they've had a chance to look at it online. It's kind of a, as you know, a lengthy document, and since the planning commission initiates this process and it's part of the duties of the planning commission, it seems fair that it come back to the full group to examine and discuss.
Can I make a comment, Mr. Chair? I think it's a great idea. I was kind of thinking it might be a good idea even to be more inclusive with our next advisory committee and possibly list it as a joint working session even with the city commission. I'm willing to do really anything that makes sense. If we'd like to do a working session of planning commission and meet here and discuss the document, I think that would be fine. I do think we've met a few times virtually with the advisory committee, and I was hoping that our next meeting would be in person. I think it might be better for discussion to try to convene a group. I would say it's a big tent, so if we want to include more people beyond that group, we should. I would just say if we have a quorum of either city commission or planning commission, we should notice the meeting. Does that make sense?
Let me make sure I understand. This document that you've currently given to us is still open to amendments, changes. So this gives us another opportunity for the public or people who were not present at any of the other meetings to still have a voice. Okay.
Absolutely. And it's issued as a memorandum for that reason. What we're intending to tell people and show people the findings and the results of these conversations. It is not a draft plan yet, but why we say it's 50% is because it's got the makings, it's got the fixins to make a plan. We're not sure exactly what should go in there or the order of it, and we want to collaborate on that next step in the process. I would also say I frequently issue draft 50% plans as presentations with much less narrative than this. In this case, I felt through many conversations with people that there was a desire to see a more complete product. So we made an effort to really draft a fairly lengthy narrative describing some of these issues. But it's not complete. There are many more ideas that I want to put in it, and there's probably many more ideas that everyone that's participating in the process wants to see too. And that's what we're looking forward to exploring over the next several months.
Any additional questions, comments?
Mr. Chair, could we schedule a meeting today so we can do notices?
That would include the city commission and the advisory.
No, planning commission meeting. I'm open to the other, but I'm specifically saying as planning commissioners, we convene this process and we are responsible for getting it out there for everyone to see. It'd be nice for us to know what we're talking about as a group and what our understanding of it is before we start trying to talk to other people about it. So not in lieu of, but just in addition to an open public meeting.
Commissioners, are you all open to a special meeting to go over this document even further?
I just think the quicker the better, because the commission are just dying to get involved in this process. So, but I'm like you, if we are in place and we can communicate back and forth the truth on what's going on, easier understood. So our meeting and then put one together for the full body. I think it's going to be a great thing.
Would you be able to attend such a meeting, Mayor Mohammed? Or would you prefer to wait until the commission, full city commission meets on it?
I mean, for me, I like to read.
Same here.
So, like I'm reading it now, looking at where it has considering urban gardens or part of the master plan. And I'm thinking about the grant that the city of Lansing applied for as a member city of the U.S. Conference of Mayors. They received $150,000 dedicated for urban gardens in their city. And I'm just thinking about what $150,000 would do for our community, for urban gardens. But to have it in our master plan would be helpful in the application process. But I don't want to see anything that's going to delay moving forward or retard or slow it down. So if we can do it inclusive of everyone, that's great. With the planning commission as a central focus as far as our involvement, but I don't want to see anything that's going to delay the process of the final product. Because the world is waiting on us, from my perspective.
The city commission will meet again, what day would that be?
The 20th.
The 20th. And we would meet basically 2 weeks after that.
The 4th.
So if we call our meeting, I'm trying to figure out how to do this to include the notice that there would be required for the planning commission to come together. And then at some point, as the mayor has indicated, meet with the full city commission. So I'm trying to figure out how to do that all in 2 weeks.
You could meet next week.
Okay, let's see, that would be next Tuesday. Would that date suit you all?
What day?
That's what I'm trying to get together here now.
Monday the 13th.
That would be better for me. Although I could do a day meeting on the 14th, but I do have an evening meeting that night. Although I can do it anytime on the 13th.
Would the 1 o'clock meeting suit everybody?
Sure.
Okay.
I have a meeting with President and CEO of Javis after tour both facilities on that day. So I won't be able to at 1 o'clock.
This will be a working session, there's nothing that we'll be voting on, so, okay. We wouldn't need your presence then.
Okay.
Maybe you could submit if you have comments or questions between times.
Sure.
We can
Yes.
give them to Paul and then we'll know what your what your concerns are too.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Then we could notice that the,
I'm
You-
supposed to be at that meeting also.
same thing, we could, you need your comments, and we could, you know. If we call the meeting of the planning commission a special meeting on Monday the 13th at 1 o'clock here in the chambers.
Yeah, I'd have to confirm with Rona that there's nothing in here, but I don't have anything on my calendar for that day.
Okay, how about you, sir?
I have no problem with the time, but if you're calling a special meeting, are we going to need a quorum?
So it would be a working session and
Just
we
working,
would just
so it
put
wouldn't
a disclaimer that a quorum may be present, but no decisions are going to be made.
Right, and the whole intent and purpose is to review this to make sure it meets all the requirements of the contract that the planning commission applied for. Okay, I got it. Yes, sir.
What is it considered? It's an open meeting.
Yeah, the public can come and listen, sit in.
So I would recommend that we invite maybe some stakeholders or others.
I have a suggestion.
Yes.
I could certainly send a notice to the advisory committee. And that might give the advisory committee a preview to the discussion that they would be having maybe the following week or the week after.
I guess I'm, Mr. Chair,
Yeah.
I'm clear about what's the purpose of the meeting. Is this just for us or we,
That was my thought.
then why is it public?
For transparency.
And then
But
open
if
meeting
it's
times.
public and it's not a desire for others to be here, then I don't understand why we have to have a special meeting for us to just sit incestuous amongst ourselves, talk about the master plan. Or I'm
Why make
missing
it
something.
public?
I mean,
Why make it public? I thought the idea was for us to go through it, you all to go through it anyway and decide to make sure that you understand it before carrying it out to other people.
so it's not public,
It
Mr.
doesn't
Chair.
need to be public.
Well, it's gonna be a working session anyways, because you're not gonna have a quorum if you're missing two of them.
Working session. We've had those before and had a quorum.
Right.
It's-
Yeah, and you
And it's
can.
public.
Yeah,
So
okay, well,
I just think that we,
I have clarity now.
yeah, I think that we need to be able to express what's going on to the commission and the people, because they're gonna be the, and if we don't sound like we know what we're talking about, they might feel like we got duped again.
Well, that's why I would think you want to wait and do your meeting together and not have the people in until you have done your say.
They had a chance and they're gonna get another chance to get involved in
Right.
it. You said 63 days?
Yes, that's the state review period for master plan adoption.
I'm gonna side with the mayor on this one. We're meeting to clarify the fact that we know what this document is composed of.
Mhm.
And does it meet our strategic requirements of the city's goals?
That's the purpose.
Okay, now we all,
Yes.
okay. And we're gonna meet on March 13th at 1 o'clock in the chambers. And it's going to be an open meeting. Preferably, you're going to announce to the advisory committee that this meeting will be held. And any of those who wish to sit in would be welcome to come. And of course, city commissioners, if they are available.
They're gonna get their own chance.
Okay,
Yeah,
next city commissioners.
let us get it together and then we can explain it to
Got it.
this.
Okay.
Because we just got this package and half of us have never looked at it. It's over some over 400 pages or whatever, so.
And that one's out of date.
And it's out of, yeah,
It's out of date already. Okay.
As soon as my printer's fixed, I'll get you a copy.
Madam Clerk, you will.
Question.
February the 10th is more memos and.
Mr. Chair, I have a question. My question is, the advisory committee got this thing, I guess, I don't know what's in it. I need to know what's in it as a commissioner.
Would you give a hard shot? Here, she goes.
Okay, because I don't want you knowing more than me.
I don't want to know more than you either. Do you have another one, Madam Clerk?
The old one.
She,
Yeah.
I want to go through and make sure I know what I'm talking about.
So, but that's not it.
Big red.
I mean, these are, the ones that you've seen are not,
Yeah, but he said there, I mean. a
They're
lot of the
very
substance is
similar.
in here. And
So I recommend-
I leafed through that one too.
Yeah.
And there's not a whole lot of difference.
I recommend everyone spend more time reviewing the one dated March 7th, which is today. But this one, you'll get a good sense. It's the same document.
And I can give you this one today, so at least you have one.
Okay.
All the maps and the analysis. There's just a little more in the new one.
So this is very near correct.
Yes.
Yes.
What did you say?
I said this is very near correct
Oh.
in terms of the updated or revised
Yeah.
Chair.
I mentioned Mr. Little requested I add some economic analysis to the census review, so there's a little bit more information on employment data. We've added the city's strategic goals to the top of the document, and then we have resequenced the strategic action plan to go more in line with the city's priorities, as well as added some additional data or strategies after reviewing the public engagement. So it's a little bit fuller. I recommend you review the new one, but you get the gist of it by reviewing the one you have printed for sure.
Okay. Do we need to vote on this or? Okay. March 13th, 1 o'clock, we'll come back. Okay, moving right along, if there's no additional questions for Mr. Lippin.
I would make one suggestion to kind of in closing that I look at the week of March 27th to schedule that advisory committee meeting. So approximately 2 weeks after we do the planning commission session. And then what I'll do is I'll invite the advisory committee to attend your working session at the same time as I schedule that meeting. And I'm happy to coordinate offline a good time for everybody. But
Are we gonna do that here? You don't mind?
could we do it in the library?
Sure.
That the room that we had for the library was pretty nice.
Why?
Because I thought we could maybe push some tables together and sit around a big table.
I like this official building here, and I like this official room. It's got YouTube and it got all the other things that
It does.
allow us to be transparent about what we're doing. And if you need us to move some stuff, we can make it more homey.
Homie, I do like that. All right, we'll discuss it.
Madam Clerk,
I mean, are you going to stream the advisory committee meeting?
no. But I like this room.
I like big maps and stuff I can see too, so. How are we gonna,
You go to the library, you might have some public. I guarantee you.
There's a public place in it.
It's
Yes.
going,
Yeah.
yeah, I guarantee you, you're gonna get somebody to say, what you talking about?
well,
Why don't we just have a follow-up conversation? I think if we can do it here, if that's the preference for sure.
any additional discussion, questions for Mr. Lippin? Hearing none. At this time, do you have any commissioners that wish to make any comments?
I have I don't know if it's a question or concern. There's a lot of repairs on older homes that's going on in the city. And those people came to get their necessary permits to do that. Yeah.
They would be required to have building permits, yes. Code enforcement, on the website has the necessary forms, applications that explain basically the procedures that are required.
I was just curious because I see a lot of development. Not only do I see a lot of development, I see a lot of setbacks.
You're gonna
That's
see,
a concern for me.
that's why we were looking
That's
at,
called evictions.
they're getting ready. As I've mentioned to you all before, housing is huge. There's a lot of information and classes that can be had and taken to explain how all of this process fits together. The state has offered us with the rezoning toolkit, so there's a lot of information out there. Many of our constituents, city members are aware of some of the changes that are coming and they are anticipating it. Accessory dwelling units, for example, is one thing I think we definitely need to take a quick look at. I'm seeing too many of these sheds being set up as houses. So those are things we need to take a good look at.
Our inspection said that's not happening.
Okay, maybe I'll get you all a tour and go around and see what I've been watching.
Oh, okay.
Okay, if there are no additional,
There is a housing roundtable tomorrow. I don't know if everyone here is aware of it, but I just thought I'd bring it up in case people would like to attend.
What is it?
A housing roundtable that's at LMC.
Who's doing
It's at 1:00. Let me go back to where I got that. There was a press release that went out on the 6th. It's called The Future of Housing, Where Will You Live in 20 Years? It's a whole group of people presenting. It doesn't say who's sponsoring this. Tomorrow? Tomorrow.
it? Can you send that to the clerk and she can send it out to us and maybe
Sure.
we can get involved?
Yeah, it doesn't say who's sponsoring it, but it's through Lake Michigan College.
Yeah.
And it's being held there. So it should be interesting. I can tell you if you want who's, well, I'll just send it to you. You can all read it.
Alex, are you aware of?
First heard it.
It was the first I heard of it this afternoon when someone pointed it out to me.
Normal.
Okay. Any more comments while we're in session? If not, I move to adjournment. Supported by the mayor. Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Henry,
Present, yes.
Commissioner Hensel,
Yes?
Commissioner Marshall,
Yes.
Manager Mitchell,
Yes.
Mayor Mohammed,
Yes.
Chairman Reed,
Yes,
motion carried.
we are adjourned. Thank you for coming out.